Welcome to the Afterspin, opinions from thought leaders in our state. I want to ask Brad and Becki Gray. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, which is known as the DCCC, believes the Democrats can score big congressional gains in the 2018 elections and have targeted 4 Republican congressmen in our state in hopes of gaining their seats: George Holding, Ted Budd, Richard Hudson, and Robert Pittenger. The party not in the White House often gains seats in off-year elections. So what do you think of the DCCC campaign, Brad? Have they selected the most vulnerable to target, and why have they chosen so many?
I wouldn't necessarily argue that they're vulnerable. I think there's opportunities. I think Democrats see a wave building very similar to the way you saw in 2010, in particular to the operations and the management and the approval rating of the president. Republicans own the House and the Senate and the White House. There's going to be repercussions of that. Will they beat George Holding? You got to find good candidates.
And a lot of money.
They did find a good candidate in Charlotte, this Dan McGreedy, former Marine, venture capitalist, very middle-of-the-road type candidate. He will give Pittenger a fit. You got to find somebody on Richard Hudson. Hudson's probably one of the best retail politicians for the Republicans in the state of North Carolina. Could be governor, could be United States senator one day. And then Ted Budd, that is a tough row to hoe for Democrats simply because of the territory.
This will be his first reelection.
It will be his first reelection, and he may be vulnerable, but it's a 55% Republican
Becki,
district.
what's your take on this?
Well, I think, number one, I think Democrats across the country are counting on a Trump midterm backlash, yes, thank you, on that. North Carolina is one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive state in the country. I mean, we've seen this during the last several presidential races. It makes perfect sense that they would go after some of these Republican congressional candidates. We won't have a Senate race then in 2018. So, I mean, kind of the next step are these congressional seats. So
well, you say, wait a minute, you say we're one of the most competitive states, and yet our House delegation is 10 to 3.
Right. Yeah. That's the way the districts were drawn. Thank you, gerrymandering. That's what you get there.
Mr. Gerrymandering.
Mr. Gerrymander. Yeah. But don't forget too that since those districts were drawn, the demographics have changed somewhat. I mean, there are a lot of people moving to North Carolina. Those are changing. And if there's a big backlash against Trump, I mean, anything can happen. So I think the Democrats are smart to do this, as Brad alluded to. I mean, you've got to have good candidates and you've got to have money. How that develops.
And they got to have some smarts, because if you look at what the Republicans did in 2008.
The other argument that I've got is that the Democrats need a message, Tom. You need a national economic message. And the Democrats at the state level, if you're going to break the veto-proof majority, you can't say no all the time. Put a program out, tell the people what you're standing for.
Yeah, rather than, I mean, it seems to me that the message so far has been, we're not them.
Absolutely.
And we don't like what them are doing.
Yeah. Look what they're doing. We don't like it. We'll do different. But I mean, that's not really a positive message or something that's going to get you the strength.
Well, and voters don't respond to it either. Well, thank you for watching the Afterspin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.